The winter of 1987 was colder than anyone expected, and the wind around the small Montana train station felt sharp enough to cut through any coat. Cole Hartley stepped onto the platform with a tired sigh. He had just finished a long business trip that had not gone the way he hoped. Even though he had more money than he ever needed, he still cared about every deal, every handshake, every promise he made. That was the way he had grown up on the ranch. Nothing came easy, nothing was ever wasted, and every success was built with his own hands. He looked around the quiet platform, expecting to be alone at such an hour. The snowstorm had caused delays everywhere, and most people had either gone home or found shelter inside the station building, but then he noticed someone sitting on the far end of a bench. At first, he thought it was just a bundle of clothes left behind, but then the figure shifted slightly. It was a young woman, trying hard to keep warm, her arms wrapped tightly around herself. Cole frowned, surprised. No one should have been waiting outside in weather like this. The temperature was dropping fast, and even he, a man used to winter ranch work, felt the cold deep in his bones. Something told him he needed to take a closer look. When he approached her, he saw that she was shivering, her lips pale from the cold. Her coat was thin, the kind of coat someone wore in autumn, not in the middle of a Montana snowstorm. Snowflakes landed in her hair and melted into tiny drops of water, making it look even darker. "Ma'am," he said gently, not wanting to startle her. "Are you all right?" She lifted her head slowly, as if even that movement took effort. Her eyes were kind, but tired. Very tired. "I'm fine," she whispered, though it was clear she wasn't. "Just waiting for the next train." He glanced at the digital sign above the platform. "The next train isn't coming for hours. They delayed it again." "I know," she said softly. "I just have to wait." Cole didn't understand at first. Why would she sit out here in the cold when she could be inside? Then she looked away for a moment, and he noticed a small worn-out bag on the ground next to her. It wasn't the kind of bag someone carried for a long vacation or a fancy trip. It was the kind of bag someone packed in a hurry because they had no other choice. He took a deep breath, trying not to sound pushy. "At least come inside. It's warmer in the building." She shook her head. "The waiting room closed an hour ago. They said they don't leave it open at night." Cole felt his jaw tighten. He wasn't angry at her, but at the idea that someone had let her sit out here like this. He kept his voice calm. "Do you have anywhere else you can go until the train comes?" She shook her head again. Her fingers trembled as she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. I don't really have the money for a hotel. My shift ran long today. I thought I'd make my connection, but the first train was late and then everything else got delayed. So I just waited." She tried to smile, but it was a tired, almost apologetic smile, as if she felt she needed to explain her situation to a stranger. "You're a nurse?" Cole asked gently, noticing the hospital badge clipped to her bag. "Yes," she said. "I work in the city. Today was supposed to be my last shift before my days off. I just need to get home." Her voice held no complaint, only exhaustion. Cole took off his heavy ranch coat, thick, warm, and lined with wool, and placed it around her shoulders before she could object. She looked up at him, surprised. "You don't have to." "I do," he said firmly, though kindly. "You're freezing." The warmth of the coat seemed to wash over her immediately. She pulled it closer, almost in relief. "Thank you," she whispered. "Name's Cole," he said, offering a small smile. "Cole Hartley." She hesitated only a moment before responding. "Emily. Emily Carter." "Well, Miss Carter," he said, "I can't let you sit out here and freeze. I have my truck just around the corner. It's warm. You can wait in there until the train comes. I'll stay with you. And if you're uncomfortable at any point, I'll bring you right back here." She bit her lip, unsure. Cole understood her hesitation. After all, she didn't know him. but the cold was only getting worse, and she was clearly suffering from it. "You can see my truck from here," he added, pointing toward the parking lot. "You can sit in the passenger side. I won't ask you for anything. You just need to warm up." Emily looked torn between caution and necessity. She knew she couldn't stay outside much longer, but trusting a stranger was difficult. Still, something about Cole, maybe the calm way he spoke, maybe the softness in his eyes, made her feel less afraid than she expected. "All right," she said quietly. "Just until the train comes." He nodded and helped her stand. She was unsteady on her feet. Proof that the cold had been affecting her far more than she had admitted. He walked slightly ahead of her, giving her space so she wouldn't feel pressured or uncomfortable. The truck was warm, thanks to the heater Cole had left running. The moment Emily sat down, the warmth wrapped around her like a blanket. She closed her eyes briefly, letting out a breath she had been holding. Cole walked around to the driver's side and got in, keeping his hands visible and his movements slow, making sure she felt safe. "Better?" he asked. "Much," she said, already feeling more alert. They sat quietly for a few moments, listening to the soft hum of the heater. Snow tapped lightly against the windshield, creating a soft, rhythmic sound that somehow made the inside of the truck feel even more peaceful. Cole cleared his throat. "Long shift today?" She nodded. 36 hours. We were short-staffed, and then an emergency came in right when I was supposed to leave. I couldn't walk out. "That sounds rough." She smiled a little. "It's just part of the job. Nurses stay because they're needed." He admired the way she said it, simple, direct, and full of quiet strength. Emily didn't speak like someone who complained about life. She spoke like someone who accepted it and did what she could to make it better. "What about you?" she asked. "Are you traveling for work?" "I was," he answered. "Business meeting in the city. Didn't go how I hoped, but that's how life works sometimes." She looked at him, studying him for a moment. "You don't look like a businessman." He chuckled softly. "I'm not really. I run a ranch back in Texas. Just had to come out here for some land paperwork." Her eyes lit with interest. "A ranch? That sounds like a big job." "It is," he said with a nod, "but it's honest work. Keeps me grounded." They talked more as the snow fell outside. Emily told him about growing up in a small town, losing her parents young, and how becoming a nurse had been her dream since she was a child. Cole told her about his ranch, the long days of riding horses, the early mornings, and the quiet nights that felt peaceful but sometimes lonely. Even though they came from different worlds, there was something comfortable about the conversation. It didn't feel forced or awkward. It felt natural, like they had known each other longer than a few minutes. As time passed, Emily's cheeks warmed, the color returning to her face. Her shivering stopped, and she looked healthier, more herself. Cole felt relieved. He didn't want to imagine what might have happened if he hadn't seen her on the platform. When she noticed how warm the coat felt, she looked at him with gentle appreciation. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't owe me anything," he said firmly. "Anyone would have done the same." Emily shook her head. "Not everyone would stop. Most people just walk by." Cole didn't know how to explain that he was simply raised that way. On a ranch, people looked out for each other. It didn't matter who you were. If someone needed help, you gave it. "You were freezing," he said. "I couldn't ignore that." Emily gave him a soft smile, one that reached her eyes this time. "Well, thank you. Truly." And at that moment, even though neither of them understood it yet, something unspoken began to form between them, a quiet connection that warmed the space more than the truck's heater ever could. The storm still raged outside, the train still hours away, but inside that truck sat two strangers who no longer felt like strangers at all. The storm did not calm down. In fact, as the hours passed, it grew heavier, and even the strong headlights of Cole's truck could barely cut through the thick snow. The wind rattled against the windows, and the platform outside looked emptier and colder than before. Emily watched the snow swirl around the street lamp, almost hypnotized by the way it danced in the air. Cole looked at the time again. The train delay had changed once more. "Looks like they pushed it back again," he said softly. "Now it says morning." Emily blinked, surprised. "Morning? But it's only—" "Almost midnight," Cole finished for her. "They won't run anything until the storm settles." She looked out the window again, her expression calm but tired. "I guess I expected that." Cole watched her for a moment. She didn't complain, didn't sigh dramatically, didn't act frustrated like many travelers he had seen over the years. She simply accepted the situation with a quiet patience that impressed him. "You can't stay out here all night," Cole said gently. "Even the truck won't stay warm forever if the storm keeps going, and I doubt the station will open." Emily hesitated. She didn't want to trouble him. "I don't want to make things harder for you," she said softly. "You've already helped me so much." "You're not making things harder," Cole assured her. "I'd rather know you're safe than worry about you freezing here." Her eyes dropped to her hands. "What other choice do I have?" Cole took a breath, thinking carefully. He didn't want to rush her, but he also couldn't pretend she wasn't in danger from the cold. "My ranch isn't far from here," he began slowly. 30 minutes by road. It's warm and you'd have a real place to rest. You can stay in the guest room, and in the morning, I'll bring you right back for your train. I promise." Emily stared at him, clearly unsure. "Your ranch?" she repeated softly, as if the word sounded unreal. "Yes," he said calmly. "It's a big place, plenty of space, and you'll have your own room and bathroom. I won't bother you. It's just safer than staying out here in a storm this strong." She tugged his coat tighter around her shoulders, thinking. Her mind wasn't filled with fear. She didn't feel threatened by him, but she was cautious. That was her nature. Still, the truth was simple. She had no money for a hotel, no family nearby, no open building to stay in, and no safe place except the truck they were sitting in. And even the truck wasn't enough against the deepening cold. She looked at Cole again. His face was calm, patient, and respectful. He didn't crowd her. He didn't pressure her. He just waited. "All right," she said softly. "Just for the night, and only if it's not any trouble." "No trouble at all," Cole said with a gentle smile. "Let's get you somewhere warm." He drove slowly, carefully, the truck moving through the snowy roads with patience. Emily watched the landscape outside, though most of it was hidden by darkness and swirling snow. She held his coat close around her chest, warming up gradually. The heater hummed softly, filling the cabin with a comforting heat. After a while, she asked, "How far is your ranch from town?" "About 16 miles, he replied. "It's not close to much, but that's how I like it. Quiet, big open land." "Do you live alone?" "Mostly," he said. "Got workers on the ranch, but they live in houses a bit farther out. My home is separate." She nodded, absorbing that. "Doesn't it get lonely?" Cole smiled faintly at the road. "Sometimes. But the horses and cattle keep me busy. I guess I got used to quiet a long time ago." Emily understood that. She knew what it was like to live with long hours, responsibility, and moments of loneliness even in a crowd. "What about you?" he asked after a moment. "Do you live alone?" "Yes," she said. "Just a small apartment near the hospital. It's nothing special." "Still, it's home." Emily smiled softly. "Yes, it is." The road curved, and soon the large wooden sign of Hartley Ranch came into view. Emily leaned forward a little, trying to read it through the snow. "That's yours?" she asked, surprised. "Yep," Cole replied shyly. "Welcome to Hartley Ranch." The driveway was long, lined with fences and tall trees heavy with snow. They passed a few barns and storage buildings before reaching a warm glow in the distance. A beautiful ranch house, large but modest in style, sat peacefully in the falling snow. Its lights made it look comforting, almost like a warm lantern in a sea of white. "It's beautiful," Emily whispered. "Thank you," he said. "My parents built it. I just kept it the way they liked." Cole parked the truck near the front porch. He hurried out first to open her door, shielding her from the worst of the wind. Emily stepped onto the porch, grateful for the shelter from the storm. Inside, the house was warm, deeply warm, not just in temperature but in feeling. The living room was softly lit, filled with wooden furniture, cozy blankets, and family photos on the walls. A fireplace crackled quietly, filling the space with a gentle glow. Emily felt almost overwhelmed by the sudden comfort. "This is very nice," she said softly. Cole removed his hat and hung it near the door. "Make yourself at home. You want something warm to drink? Tea, coffee, hot chocolate?" Emily hesitated. Tea would be wonderful. He nodded and headed to the kitchen while she stood in the living room, unsure where to place her hands. She didn't want to seem rude by sitting without being asked, but her legs felt tired from the cold and the long day. "You can sit," Cole called from the kitchen, reading her hesitation perfectly. Emily smiled at how well he noticed things. She settled onto a chair near the fireplace, letting the warmth relax her muscles. For a moment, it felt like the world outside didn't exist. The snow, the cold, the delays, the exhaustion, just warmth and peace. Cole returned with 2 steaming cups of tea. He placed one in her hands and sat across from her in a large armchair. "Thank you," she said again, genuinely. "You're welcome," he replied. "You've had a long day." "You too," she reminded him. He chuckled softly. "Yeah, guess so." They sipped their tea quietly, letting the warmth fill the space between them. The fire crackled, adding a gentle rhythm to the silence. Emily let her eyes wander over the photos on the wall, pictures of horses, wide fields at sunset, a younger version of Cole with his parents, and several snapshots of ranch life. "You have a beautiful family," she said softly. Cole looked at the photos too. They were good people, hardworking, honest. I try to keep things the way they taught me. Emily nodded. "It shows." He smiled, touched by her sincerity. Most people commented on his land, his success, his money. But she noticed the things that mattered to him, the things that shaped him. "Would you like a tour in the morning?" he asked suddenly. "Before we head back to town?" "I'd like that," she admitted, "but only if it's not too much trouble." "It's never trouble," he said. "Besides, it's better than waiting at a cold station." She laughed softly. "You're right about that." Cole stood up. "Let me show you your room. You need rest." Emily followed him down a hallway softly lit with warm lights. He opened a door to a clean, cozy guest room with a soft bed, folded blankets, and a window overlooking the snowy fields. "I hope it's comfortable," he said nervously. "It's not fancy, but—" "It's perfect," she said honestly. "Thank you, Cole. Really." He nodded, his expression gentle. "Good night, Emily. If you need anything, my room is just across the hall." "Good night," she whispered. As she lay in the soft bed, wrapped in warmth, she thought about how strange life could be. A few hours ago, she was shivering on a cold platform with no place to go. Now she was safe in a stranger's home, except he didn't feel like a stranger anymore. There was something sincere, steady, and kind about him. And as the storm continued to fall outside, Emily felt a strange but comforting thought settle in her heart. Maybe, just maybe, meeting Cole Hartley wasn't an accident at all. Morning came quietly to the Hartley ranch. The storm had calmed, leaving a blanket of bright white snow across the fields. Sunlight slipped through the guest room window, casting a soft glow over everything. Emily slowly opened her eyes, feeling more rested than she had felt in weeks. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then she noticed the wooden walls, the warm blankets, and the peaceful view outside. It all came back to her, the train station, the cold, and Cole's kindness. She sat up, stretching gently. The room felt cozy, as if it was made to make guests feel at home. She was grateful, deeply grateful, for the warmth of the ranch and for the man who had helped her so generously. When she stepped into the hallway, the smell of coffee drifted through the air. She followed it to the kitchen, where she found Cole at the counter pouring coffee into 2 mugs. He looked up with a friendly smile the moment he saw her. "Morning," he said, cheerful but gentle, as if he didn't want to overwhelm her. "Good morning," Emily replied, feeling shy but comfortable. "I hope I didn't sleep too late." "Not at all," he said. "You needed the rest." She accepted the cup he offered and wrapped her hands around it, grateful for the warmth. Cole had already made toast and scrambled eggs, which were waiting on the table. He motioned for her to sit, and they ate together in a calm, easy silence. After breakfast, Cole said, "If you're up for it, I can show you around the ranch before we head back to town." Emily felt a spark of curiosity. She had never been on a ranch before, and the idea of seeing such a beautiful place made her smile. "I'd love that," she said. They stepped outside, the cold air sharp but bearable now that she had borrowed a warmer coat from the guest closet. The ranch stretched far in every direction, white snow shining under the sun. The barns stood tall and strong, smoke curling gently from chimneys where workers were starting their day. Cole walked beside her, speaking with easy pride. "My dad built most of this. My mom helped design the house. I try to keep everything the way they liked it. It's really beautiful," Emily said honestly. "Peaceful," he smiled. "That's the word most folks use." They approached a fenced area where horses stood calmly, their breath forming soft clouds in the cold air. Emily gasped softly, delighted. "They're beautiful," Cole chuckled. "You like horses?" "I've never been around them much," she admitted, "but I always wanted to learn." He opened the gate with gentle movements. "Come on, they're friendly." Emily stepped closer slowly, unsure but excited. A brown horse with a white patch on its forehead walked up to her, curious and gentle. Emily held out her hand, and the horse lowered its head, touching her palm softly. She laughed, the sound pure and warm. "Oh, that tickles." Cole grinned. "That's Daisy. She likes new people." Emily stroked the horse's neck, feeling a strange calm settle over her. The ranch felt like a different world, one untouched by stress or noise. For a moment, she wondered what it would be like to live somewhere like this, surrounded by open skies and simple beauty. Then she reminded herself that she had a job waiting, a life in the city, responsibilities she couldn't walk away from. When they finished the tour, Cole drove her back to the train station. The roads were clearer now, and the sky was bright. As the station came into view, Emily felt a small ache in her chest, a strange sadness she didn't expect. The moment they parked, she turned to him. "Thank you again, Cole, for everything. I don't know what would have happened without your help." He looked at her with sincerity. "I'm just glad you're all right. That's what matters." They stepped out of the truck, and Cole carried her bag to the waiting area. Just as they reached the bench, a camera flash went off. Emily jumped slightly, startled. A man with a small camera hurried across the platform, snapping photos from different angles. Cole frowned lightly. "What's he doing?" Emily looked confused. "I don't know. Maybe he thinks I'm someone else?" But the man kept taking pictures. Of her, of Cole, of the two of them standing together. Emily felt her cheeks grow warm with embarrassment. She didn't like the attention, and she certainly didn't understand why someone would take pictures of two people saying goodbye. Before Cole could ask the man to stop, the photographer hurried away, disappearing behind a corner as quickly as he had appeared. "That was strange," Emily whispered, trying to calm her nerves. "Don't worry," Cole said softly. "He's probably just bored. People take pictures of anything these days." But Emily wasn't so sure. She felt unsettled, although she didn't want to ruin the goodbye. When it was time to board, she looked at Cole with a soft smile. "I hope I can repay you someday." "You already did," he said. "How?" "By trusting me." Her heart swelled a little at those words. They exchanged a warm, lingering goodbye, and then Emily stepped onto the train, waving at him through the window as it pulled away. Cole stood on the platform long after the train disappeared. Emily returned to her busy life at the hospital, thinking often about the ranch and the quiet strength of the man who had helped her. She told her co-workers about the storm and the kindness she received, but she didn't mention the photographer. She didn't want anyone to make a big deal out of something that felt personal. But just 3 days later, while walking into the hospital for her evening shift, a co-worker rushed toward her holding a newspaper. "Emily! Emily, look!" Emily froze when she saw the front page headline, "Nurse seen leaving millionaire rancher's home after mysterious night." Below it was a photo of her stepping off Cole's porch, wrapped in his coat. Her stomach dropped. There were more photos inside, one of Cole giving her his coat at the train station, one of them talking near his truck, and another showing her walking beside him on the ranch. I don't understand," Emily whispered. Her co-worker's eyes were wide but not unkind. "Is it true? Were you at his house?" Emily felt her face burn. "It was a storm. He helped me, that's all." "They're making it sound like something else." Her co-worker nodded gently. "People love stories like this. Rich cowboy, hard-working nurse. They make up their own versions." Emily felt sick, not angry, just overwhelmed. She didn't want attention, and she certainly didn't want rumors about her and Cole. That evening, when she finished her shift, the phone in the staff lounge rang. A nurse handed it to her. "It's for you, someone named Cole." Her heart jumped. She took the phone with trembling hands. "Emily?" Cole's voice sounded warm, worried, and honest. "I saw the papers," she said softly. "I'm sorry," he said. "If I knew someone was watching, I would have been more careful." "It's not your fault," she whispered. There was a long pause, not uncomfortable but thoughtful. "Emily," Cole finally said, "I don't want this to make things hard for you. You didn't ask for any of this." "Neither did you," she replied. His voice softened even more. "Are you doing all right?" She closed her eyes, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "I will be," she said truthfully, "but I won't lie. It's been strange." "I understand." Their words slowed, as if both of them were trying to say something they couldn't quite find the courage for. "Cole," she said faintly. "Yes? I'm glad we met." His breath caught. "Me too, Emily. More than you know." And even though they were miles apart with uncertain days ahead, something deep and real grew quietly in the silence between them, something they both felt but neither dared to name yet. Days passed, but the newspaper stories only grew louder. Emily tried to keep her head down at the hospital, focusing on her patients and her work. Yet almost everywhere she went, someone whispered, someone stared, someone held up a magazine with her picture inside. They created stories about her life that weren't true. Stories about love, money, secrets, and dreams she'd never spoken aloud. She felt exposed in a way she had never imagined. Cole felt it too. Reporters drove near his ranch, trying to catch a glimpse of him. Some workers tried to wave them away, but the photographers only returned later, hiding behind fences or waiting outside the local shops. Cole didn't care for himself, Life on the ranch had taught him to ignore noise, but he hated that Emily was dragged into his world without warning. Still, even with the chaos around them, neither Emily nor Cole stopped thinking about the other. Their phone calls became more frequent. Late at night, when the world grew quiet and the noise of rumors faded, they spoke about simple things: work, life, memories from childhood, hobbies they used to love, dreams they once had. Those moments felt peaceful, like talking to someone who understood them more than most people ever had. One evening, after a long shift, Emily stepped outside the hospital and found a TV crew waiting near the entrance. They rushed toward her with microphones and cameras. Emily froze, overwhelmed. She didn't know what to say or who to listen to. They kept asking questions, none of which she wanted to answer. Before she could respond, a familiar voice called her name. "Emily?" She turned, surprised. Cole was standing by his truck across the street, his expression concerned. For a moment, Emily forgot about the cameras, forgot about the noise. She walked to him quickly, relieved to see him. "What are you doing here?" she asked softly. "I came to check on you," he replied. "You sounded tired on the phone last night. I just wanted to make sure you were all right." His concern made her eyes warm. "I'm okay," she said. "Just overwhelmed." "We can leave," Cole said gently. "If you want some quiet." Emily hesitated. "But the cameras—" Cole shook his head. "Let them talk. You deserve peace." So Emily got into the truck, and Cole drove away from the city lights, away from the crowd. For a while they said nothing. Emily watched the buildings pass by, then the roads grew emptier, the lights fewer, until the sky opened wide above them. She didn't know where they were going, but she trusted Cole enough not to ask. Finally, he stopped at a small hill outside the city, where the ground was covered in soft snow and the stars shone brightly overhead. He stepped out and opened her door for her. She breathed in the cold, clean air, feeling it wash away some of the heaviness she had been carrying. "I wanted to show you something," Cole said, pointing upward. Emily looked at the sky. "The stars are beautiful." "They always look brighter out here," Cole said. "My mom used to bring me to this hill when I felt stressed. She said the sky makes everything feel smaller. The noise, the worry, the bad days. When you see how big the world truly is, your problems feel easier to carry." Emily stood quietly, her breath forming small clouds in the cold air. The stars stretched across the sky like a wide river of light. "It does help," she said softly. Cole looked at her, his eyes warm. "Emily, I know this attention hasn't been easy on you. I didn't want you to get dragged into my world like this." "It's not your fault," she said. "None of this is your fault." "I still feel responsible," he said. "I care about you, Emily. I don't want your life to become harder because of me." Her heart fluttered at the way he said it, calm, sincere, without expecting anything in return. "You've never made my life harder," she said gently. "You helped me when I needed it. I'll never forget that. Everything after that. Well, that's just the world being noisy." He smiled slightly. "You're stronger than you think, and you're kinder than people realize," she replied. The wind rustled softly between them. It wasn't cold in an uncomfortable way. It felt crisp and refreshing. Emily wrapped the borrowed coat tighter around her shoulders, and Cole stood beside her, watching the stars. After a long moment, he spoke again. "Emily, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what the newspapers will write next, or what people will say. But I know one thing." Emily turned to him, her eyes questioning. "I care about you more than anything they could ever print," Cole continued quietly. "But I want to ask you something. Not as a ranch owner, not as someone the newspapers talk about, just as me, as Cole." Emily's heart beat faster. "What is it?" "Can we try this?" he asked softly. "You and me, not rushed, not forced, just real. I don't want fear or rumors deciding things for us." Emily's breath caught. She had been afraid to let herself hope for anything, afraid that the distance, the attention, and their different worlds would make it impossible. But standing there, looking at Cole under the wide sky, she knew the truth. He had been honest with her from the very first moment, and she trusted that honesty. "I want that too," she said, her voice calm and certain. Cole's smile was small but full of warmth, the kind of smile that carried gratitude, relief, and quiet joy. He didn't reach for her hand right away. He gave her space, letting her decide the next step. Slowly, Emily slipped her hand into his. It felt natural, gentle, and right. They stood like that for a long time under the stars, just holding hands, saying nothing more. No cameras, no reporters, no gossip. Just two people who had found something quietly beautiful in the midst of chaos. From that day forward, they began to build their connection with patience and care. Emily visited the ranch on her days off. She learned the names of the horses, and Cole taught her how to feed and brush them. She laughed more often, breathed more freely, and found a peace she hadn't realized she was missing. Cole visited her in the city, too, bringing fresh flowers from the ranch or homemade pies the workers insisted she try. The hospital staff began to understand the truth. Their bond wasn't a scandal. It was a story of kindness turning into something real. One evening, months later, a new story appeared in the news. Nurse helps save ranch during wildfire scare. It happened when a small brush fire, quickly controlled, threatened a section of Hartley Ranch. Emily, hearing the news, rushed there without hesitation. She helped guide the workers, calm the horses, and support Cole even when the situation grew stressful. Reporters, instead of twisting the story, captured the truth. A woman who cared enough to show up when it mattered. People admired her courage and selflessness. Instead of treating the story like a rumor, they shared it as an example of kindness and teamwork. For once, the headlines felt good, warm, hopeful, even inspiring. And as the ranch recovered, the town grew to love Emily almost as much as Cole did. Months later, on a spring evening filled with soft orange sunset light, Cole took Emily to the same hill where they once stood under the stars. The wind was gentle, the air warm. He turned to her, his voice steady. "Emily, you changed my life the moment I saw you shivering on that train platform. I don't know what I did to deserve someone like you, but I'm grateful every day." Emily felt her eyes warm with emotion. Cole gently took her hands. "Will you stay in my life? Will you build a future with me?" A tear slid down her cheek, not from sadness, but from the soft, overwhelming joy of the moment. "Yes, Cole," she whispered. "I will." Their love didn't make history because it was grand or dramatic. It made history because it was real. A story of two people who met by chance, helped each other, and chose to walk through life together with honesty, kindness, and quiet courage. And as the sun set behind them, the world seemed to glow a little brighter, as if even the sky understood that this love was meant to be.